A fox knows many things, but a hedgehog knows one important thing. It's one important thing. It's one important thing.
Welcome to the Morning Hedgehog podcast, where we explore the business ideas that shape your success. Here are your hosts Ira Gardner and Glynns Thomas. We now join Glynns and Ira in progress.
Creating your own compilation of all the different things that have inspired you. It's the same thing with business. And try to figure out who you are as a person and what your key marketing messages are. Is a compilation of all this stuff. So anyways, I'm just trying to figure out still how this provides another piece in the overall puzzle.
Is that one that you learned about through an interview on the Story Brand podcast with Donald Miller?
No, I don't know how I discovered it. I don't know how I don't remember how I discovered this one, but she talks about how there's about seven different ways that people become fascinated.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to figure out which combination of these, like what's your main and what's your sub, but what's your combination of how you fascinate others. And then that's how you draw people toward you. But I think you do need to understand who you are as a person first through all those personality tools and stuff, and just a lot of, thinking of who have I been over the years, because we're a lot of different things. So it's really just like, well, which one is it?
Well, and that's actually one of the more interesting, when we talk about marketing and we get into brand archetypes, one of the interesting things is, as human beings, we're complex critters. And, there's, in brand psychology, they talk about the 12 archetypes. The challenge is we draw upon all of those at different points of our life, different situations. But as a business owner, we need to have a business that is consistently within one archetype, so that when our customers are looking for that one thing, they know where to go to it. And I think it's that finding out what is the strongest archetype, or finding out what's the strongest core value that you have, and staying with that and deepening it will actually help build that kind of business where you don't have to go looking for the work's looking for you.
Right.
And I think that's going to be interesting to explore as we go along.
And one that you continue to love, and it doesn't accidentally evolve into something that you end up not loving, and so you give up because it's not true and authentic to who you are.
That has been the gift that I've had in my career. I've been very blessed that many people have had, multiple jobs, and I've had one primary job my whole life, even though, yes, I teach, and yes, I'm a serial entrepreneur, or at least I have been. And I think that's what's the interesting thing, is I'm now figuring out, the deeper I go with understanding who I am, the more I can simplify.
Yes.
Because I'm not afraid to let go of the things that just don't fit.
We don't need to be talking about this. This is great for podcasts and stuff, but you were mentioning earlier about how we were talking about the importance of the hedgehog concept and being one thing. And I was thinking, like, coming from the corporate world where you were valued more about being a jack of all trades, and that the whole process of how your reviews went. And so typically reviews go over a whole bunch of different categories, and all the ones you're good at, they're saying, yep, you do a great job at this. Yep. Here's the one section where you really need to bring it up. And then unconsciously, just a whole lot of efforts put onto the negative things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw the whole corporate world in my career evolve, where it became less of a jack of all trades and became more about specialization, which was disturbing for some people who were actually natural jack of all trades. And it was really an uncomfortable situation to say, now I'm just going to specialize in this one thing. But, and I don't think the corporations really helped people evolve into that and see what so now that I'm on the business side of owning my own business, and I'm seeing, I really liked being a jack of all trades, I guess is where this is coming from. And I really struggled with the specialization
Mm-hmm.
because what it meant was I was used to owning an entire project. And now it was like I was just a cog in the wheel where the project I don't know who started it, who wrote up the brief, but I just did my one little part and I passed it over and I never got to hear the end results. So that really bugged me. And owning my own business, I can do that, but there are different ways to become specialized without losing, I don't know, I guess without losing, I don't know where I'm going with this. I lost my
Well, let
train of
me
thought.
jump in there a little bit, because I think what you're talking about is, and you're expressing a very common frustration of photographers learning about business, which is this idea of, you're trying to put me in a box, Ira. And instead of this idea of, wait, no, you get to build a custom shaped box that fits you perfectly. You're building your own box. But I had an interesting conversation with a really successful commercial photographer friend of mine. And like, he's done really, really well. And we were having a conversation. He got a little flustered. He says, Ira, I am a generalist and I'm proud of being a generalist. I don't want to do the same thing over and over. I want to do a lot of variety of things. And I said, well, guess what, Dean? You are a specialist. Your specialty happens to be one-of-a-kind creative. And you've got a whole workflow that is designed to support creative acts. And your generalist is really an expression of complete creativity. And then I went on and to show him that his number one most powerful marketing that I've seen in the last 10 years is the fact that he's actually had a gallery exhibit in the largest museum in our city, where he specialized in doing macro photos of painters' palettes.
Oh, interesting. That's
And
very specialized.
He has specialized in creativity. He just thought it was generalist. And in fact, he just received all kinds of accolades and advertising you could never pay for by being featured in the newspaper, the local television. He's done a project where he has done portraits of poets and then recorded them reading one of their poems. So he does typology type projects. Well, guess what? All this stuff over here that he's doing, his passion project, is drawing customers of small business owners, large business owners that say, well, if you could do that, you can probably take care of my needs. And so he does do all these variety of things. He's climbing up power lines and setting up GoPros for time-lapse construction jobs. He's doing stuff in the studio and product photography. He's doing headshots. Does a lot of different things. But what he didn't understand was he actually made a specialization out of being a creative.
Yeah.
Process, and he built a workflow that had the time for the location scouting, the research, the developing, the look and feel, and he developed this whole workflow. But it's one of those things that you're operating within your own head, and you're doing it intuitively, authentically. And after a 30-year career, look back, wow, I've been pretty successful. Now you can see why. And now, and I think the reason I like that Managing Oneself book of Peter Drucker is the piece of advice he has is to keep a journal, because when you're in it, you can't see the patterns or the trends. And one of the most important parts of being in business is to recognize patterns and trends and learn how to capitalize on your strengths. And what he advocates for is to identify your strengths and be a monopoly of the only one that can do that. Everything else can be outsourced.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah.
Okay, that's my next book.
We're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. This is great.
Thank you for listening to the Morning Hedgehog podcast. For show notes or to submit a question or comment, please visit www.themorninghedgehog.com.